everybody, and welcome to another top 5 board gaming video. So it may be the second week of October, but that's close enough to the beginning so that we can do my monthly new games that I am looking forward to and will probably never get to play or ever own. Now, of course, as always, these are games that are potentially new printings or new releases or are brand new games that are just now coming out. With GenCon recently behind us, Essen coming up relatively soon, and all of these other things, there's a lot of games on the slate, and so I'm super excited to just dive in. But that said, first off, I do want to hear from you all. What are your games that you're looking forward to in October? We've got the holiday season coming up, so think about what games you want to potentially gift to people. Let me know anything and everything in the comments below, because you know I love to hear it all. But that said, we're going to jump in with my number 5. At number 5, I've got Cafe. This is a game that's a little bit older but is getting reprinted, and essentially it's kind of viticulture but with coffee beans instead of grapes. So the idea is that you run a plantation and you're sending coffee beans from the new world to the old world back when Portugal essentially ruled the entire planet. And so you're controlling the entire process where you've got the plantation, picking the beans, doing the roasting, sending it back, selling it, all of that kind of stuff. Like I said, very big viticulture vibes on this, and it's something that a lot of people are probably more willing to try out because you have people who don't really like drinking and probably don't like a game like viticulture because of that, but lots more people are willing to indulge in coffee and caffeine and that sort of thing. That said, it's much simpler than viticulture as well, so it's easier to get into, which is kind of nice. Still seems like an interesting game, but lower on the list because it has technically already been released. Cafe, my number 5. At number 4, I've got Anno 1800. I'm sorry, I don't know exactly how it's pronounced, but this is based off of the video game of the same name from Ubisoft, and essentially the idea is that you have a colony of people in the new world, and you are trying to keep them happy. The idea is that as the years go by, you've got a tech tree that you're going to be building up so that you can build bigger and better things, get more luxurious goods and all that sort of thing, where the idea is that fundamentally you have people's happiness in mind. So this is very reminiscent of things like Civilization, the video game, and stuff like that, where you have a distinct happiness component, and the idea is that you have the tech tree, you've got a sort of engine building going on, and all of that kind of stuff. I like the idea of the game based off of a video game because it's the style of video game that I really enjoy, but it's lower on the list because I'm not entirely certain how well that type translates. Like the Civilization board game, not nearly as good as the video game in my opinion, but either way, Anno, or Anno, I assume it's Anno 1800 is my number 4. At number 3, I've got Game of Thrones Betwixt. So this is a card game that is based obviously off of the Song of Ice and Fire series of books, and it tries to take the entirety of the political insanity that is Game of Thrones and put it into a relatively small package. Now, this is rather unique because of course we do have Game of Thrones the board game, which is exceedingly complex, whereas in this game it's meant to be much more fast-paced. You still have allegiances, backstabbing, and all of that sort of thing, and it's mostly based off of card playing and things of that nature. You're trying to get points, you're trying to have allegiances at the right time, backstab at the right time, and all of this sort of thing. So it seems like it's still going to be very Game of Thrones feeling, but I'm curious how well it's going to translate into a smaller package. I think it's great, but middle of the list because I think it's going to be popular, I think it's going to be good. I hope that they do well with it, but I'm not entirely certain. So Game of Thrones Betwixt is my number 3. At number 2, I've got Beyond the Edge. This is a very unique seeming game to me because it's a legacy game that's not exactly a legacy game. The idea is that it's a legacy game in the sense of you are piloting a ship through space, doing all sorts of different stuff. You've got scenarios, yada, yada, yada. But the thing is that your character is the one that goes and does their own thing. And you gain experience, you get new parts, you upgrade your ship, you do all this kind of stuff. And the idea is that there is a dockyard where you can kind of come in and out of other people's games. So it's an interesting thing because it's almost like a tabletop RPG where you can have the same character kind of roll around into different campaigns, provided that there's at least some sort of reason for it. But in this case, you don't need a reason because it's just a board game. And so it sounds really intriguing because it's a new spin on the idea of legacy, in the sense of the legacy is not the game itself, but rather the individuals within the game. And so it's much easier to swap in and out people and play with a different group or bring in new people to your group and all of that kind of stuff. Seems very intriguing. I'm looking forward to seeing some more information about it. But yeah, it's my Beyond the Edge, my number 2. At number 1, I've got Catapult Feud, which is exactly what it sounds like. You set up a bunch of little plastic pieces and then you have a little catapult and you go, pa-tew! I don't know what more you need to know. It's awesome. I mean, come on. This is the type of stuff that we dreamed of as kids. Now, this is, thematically wise, you're talking about medieval era and trying to take over castles and all of this sort of thing, but who cares? It's a dexterity game where the idea is that you have a little catapult and you're trying to knock over nicely stacked little pieces of plastic. It's fun, it's adorable, it's really cool, and it just seems like a great time, especially as a family game. So I'm looking forward to seeing more about it, and maybe it's one that my wife will let me get. Shh, don't tell anybody though. But that said, Catapult Feud is my number 1. Well everybody, that's it for me. I hope that you enjoyed this video of my top 5 games that I'm looking forward to for October. Now obviously this is meant to be spooky month, but that doesn't mean we have to have spooky games. And so as always, I want to know what you guys think. Again, we've got GenCon just behind us, we've got Essen just in front of us, so there's a lot of new announcements to potentially come. We have seen a lot of announcements already, and so there's a ton of new games that are still coming out. They are more expensive due to shipping costs and things like that. And make sure that if you're going to be getting games for the holidays, put your orders in early because of all of the ridiculousness with freight shipping that's going on right now, because everything is super slow. But that said, as always, if you haven't done so already, please take a look at my various social media pages where you can interact with myself and my channel in a whole bunch of different ways. For those of you who are still in areas affected by COVID, please stay safe, get vaccinated, all of that kind of stuff. We are not dwelling on it. So regardless, thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you next time.